Let's just jump right in, because before ASMR became this massive global mainstream phenomenon, there were countless people out there quietly searching for a way to just survive the night. We're talking about people using soft sounds in the dark to soothe themselves, finding comfort in these totally unexpected corners of the internet. But the thing is, they weren't exactly broadcasting it. It was this hidden, almost silent coping mechanism. They were dealing with intense anxiety in private, just trying to manage those racing thoughts and an overwhelmed nervous system completely on their own. Or they were battling this really deep loneliness, craving just the simple, comforting sound of another human being in a room that was otherwise completely empty. They were absolutely exhausted by persistent insomnia, just left staring up at the ceiling for hours, desperate for literally anything that might finally turn their active minds off. And they were carrying the heavy, heavy weight of depression completely out of sight. They were managing daily stress and profound overwhelm behind closed doors. But, as you'll see in this explainer, that isolation, it was about to end. Which brings us to the secret search for calm, moving from private struggles to public comfort. So for years, people were privately seeking out these very specific, low-demand sounds. I'm talking whisper videos, rain sounds, role-play comfort, hair brushing, soft-spoken explanations. And they weren't doing it just for the novelty of it. They were doing it because something about these exact auditory triggers helped their exhausted nervous systems finally settle down. I mean, we live in this hyper-connected world, right? It constantly demands our attention and keeps us stuck in fight-or-flight mode. These gentle sounds provided a rare reprieve. They triggered the body's rest and digest mode, mimicking the evolutionary comfort of being close to someone safe. But again, nobody was openly talking about it. It was just a quiet survival tool for navigating an overwhelming environment, totally hidden from the public eye. Next up, a new public language finding voice in the comments. Because as this content really settled into its home online, something genuinely incredible happened in the comment sections. Viewers actually stopped hiding. They started typing things directly to creators like, "I use this for anxiety." Just think about the sheer magnitude of that shift for a second. Suddenly, you have thousands of people realizing they're part of this massive shared digital safe haven. They weren't alone in the dark anymore, Comments like, "This is the only thing that helps me sleep," became incredibly common. And what's really fascinating here is that they weren't using strict clinical terms. They were just boldly naming their daily struggles with insomnia and stress using everyday language. It just goes to show that online mental health conversations often start kind of indirectly. Someone might not be ready to say, "Hey, I have a clinical disorder," but they are absolutely ready to say, "I can finally rest." It created this incredibly accessible entry point for millions to just admit they were emotionally exhausted. And when someone types something like, "Your voice makes me feel safe," it really reveals a profound sense of parasocial safety for folks who are feeling deeply alone. Our brains are actually super good at recognizing comforting social cues. So returning to a familiar creator's voice and community gives this powerful, accessible form of validation. It basically simulates the presence of a caring confidant. And for someone isolated by anxiety or depression, that is an incredibly grounding and stabilizing experience. So suddenly you have millions of people admitting, in public, that their nervous systems were just tired. Now sure, these comments aren't medical records, but they were massive cultural evidence that the stigma and shame around needing sensory comfort was finally softening. Admitting you needed a gentle, reassuring voice to fall asleep, it wasn't something to be embarrassed about anymore. It was a shared, openly discussed reality. Okay, let's look at the science of sensory support and validating the experience. Eventually, clinical research actually caught up to what the comment sections had been saying for years. Back in 2015, Barrett and Davis confirmed that viewers were actively using this content for relaxation, sleep, and mood support. Then, the real breakthrough hit in 2018 when Poerio and colleagues found actual physiological changes, like responders showed measurably lower heart rates. No way, right? And by 2022, Smejka and Wiggs further validated these profound mood benefits. So it became scientifically clear this wasn't just some placebo effect or weird internet fad. People's bodies were objectively calming down. And this research points to a really fascinating core mechanism, which is the low-demand quality of the content. Let's think about traditional therapy for a second. Therapy asks you to speak, reflect, and actively process complex emotions. Even meditation asks you to focus your attention. Both take cognitive effort. But this sensory content, it provides a unique, low-demand environment that is just absolutely crucial for exhausted people. It asks literally nothing of you. You don't have to analyze your past or fix your future. It only asks that you receive comfort in the present moment. But, and this is important, we have to talk about comfort versus professional care and defining the boundaries. Because in this explainer, we really need to draw a clear line separating an online comfort space from actual clinical treatment. Simulated care, things like virtual haircuts, slow, predictable speaking, pure validation, it brilliantly reduces the feeling of being alone. It can emotionally regulate you in the moment as a temporary bridge to calm. But real care, that involves professional therapy, medical evaluation, safety planning, and targeted treatment for severe symptoms. Simulated care is amazing for immediate emotional soothing, but it can never, ever replace a licensed professional when dealing with trauma, panic disorders, or severe clinical depression. Using it to mask deeper problems that need real structured intervention is a boundary we have to be super careful not to cross. So, to navigate this responsibly, we kind of have to hold two truths at once. Truth number one, ASMR can be incredibly meaningful mental health support for some people. It bridges a gap, builds a community, and offers genuine emotional regulation for a tired mind. Dismissing it as just internet quirkiness completely ignores the very real physiological relief it gives to millions of people every single day. But truth number two is equally important. ASMR is absolutely not mental health treatment. It's not a medical cure, and it's definitely not a replacement for therapy. The absolute best creators in this space make this boundary crystal clear. They don't promise cures or try to diagnose their viewers. They just create a calmer doorway, a place to rest temporarily, leaving the heavy lifting of medical treatment to the licensed pros. Let's talk about redefining digital well-being with some guidelines for safe usage. How do we actually safely integrate this into our daily lives? Well, first, treat it as just one supportive routine among several. Do not use it as your only form of support. It works best alongside things like exercise, offline socializing, and professional care. It's so vital to keep those mental health boundaries clear, knowing when you're just relaxing versus when you're avoiding deeper pain. And for sure, if you're dealing with severe or persistent symptoms that mess with your daily life, you need to seek qualified professional help. If we maintain these boundaries, communities can keep offering incredible peer validation while staying perfectly safe. At the end of the day, what we really learn from all this is that calm is not a luxury. For many people, calm is a profound need. This content bridged a massive gap between entertainment and well-being, reminding all of us that finding a safe, sensory space is just a fundamental human requirement. It challenges the old idea that relaxation has to be disciplined to work. Sometimes the simplest, softest sounds really can offer the most profound relief. So as you reflect on your own nervous system and maybe the quiet struggles you've been carrying, consider how digital comfort plays a role in your life. Did this type of content first help you with sleep, or was it anxiety? Ask yourself what kind of support you truly need today. Are you just looking for a moment of simulated comfort, or is it time to reach out for real professional care?